Uh,
Hey, sports fans! This is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes here live on this fine Thursday evening. I got my man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. He's here with me this evening to talk a little bit of ACC Conference football going into the 2025 season. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you out there. How you feeling this morning, Mossberg?
Man, feeling pretty good. It's a beater of a day out there. When I say that, it's a hot one, man. It feel like it's about 90 to 95. So we definitely got to be ready for this heat this summer. So stay with the ice water. As you can see, I'm gonna be slimming down on my coffee intake a little bit. But it's good to see you. Appreciate you having me as well, man. Definitely locked and loaded to see what we can talk about with this ACC. Interesting conference this year for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you was able to join as well, so we can talk a little bit of ACC conference football. But before we get started, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Our man Super Cat Nano 2820. He produces all the music for us. He supports us here at WTP Sports Dudes. Please check him out on YouTube. That's Super Cat Nano, cat spelled with a K, Nano spelled Nayno 2820. Check him out on YouTube. Also, KT's Good Eats LLC. My man Kevin Bird and his wife Tammy, they got a really, really nice catering business where they cater all types of food. Hit them up and check them out on Instagram. I'm telling you right now, their food is banging. You can find them at Kevin J. Bird. That's Bird spelled Byrd on Instagram. Go check out their photos so you can see what kind of things they can make for you if you're having an event. Also, his younger sister, she owns Social Nutrition Sips and Good Conversation, where you can get a nutritious shake and you can get energy teas to help you through your day. Go check her out at 3136 South Hamilton Road here in Columbus, Ohio. Also, our young man, the Chief, has his own apparel line called The Chief 5991. You can find him on uh, Instagram and TikTok. That's The Chief, DECHIEF dot 5991. Check him out. You can get some authentic pieces from his apparel line. Trust me, he makes a really, really good quality product. You might want to check him out. Check him out on TikTok and on Instagram.
Laughing at FanDuel's, hey man.
He said, everybody thank me for summoning Moss ass to the stream.
Appreciate you, FanDuel, man. I'm feeling a lot better, man. The graduation, everything from not getting my prepared West, as you always told me about that, and then just preparing for the week. It's been a tough few days to start. Just going through some things, and I'm back. I had a overnight thinking and sitting down with myself, and we just got to stay prayed up, man. We never know, what different things can come at us in different ways. Sometimes it could be your closest friends, and sometimes you just gotta, navigate the best way you do. And I appreciate you for summoning me as well in our group text as you was on me about that, man. And that's holding each other accountable. And I appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you on that one.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you here as well. I know you had a busy schedule, working, family, all that good stuff, man. But it's good to see you here this evening, especially since we're going to be talking ACC football. And you being an ACC man, being a huge Florida State fan, I'm really looking forward to hearing some of your opinions and thoughts on what's going to go down in this conference, based on the questions that we're going to get and the questions that we have already in our chat. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it. And if you're in the chat, please put in the chat Who are your top four teams going into the 2025 college football season in the ACC? And who's your honorable mention team?
I kind of stretched it like a little bit to I went up one. I had to include five in there. I think I know four, but I put a fifth one in there. Of course, I got Clemson, Miami. Georgia Tech is going to be, I think, a scary team that surprised people. And I got SMU, and I can't not leave out FSU. And I think we just going to be that team. And when you speak on honorable mention, a lot of people don't have us, in the top four in the conference this year. Some people say we making noise late, but I think honorable mention is a great feel for us coming in, especially after undefeated. We come in, we go 2-10 to follow a season. I think the only way is up for us. I think we have to, put our foot down, put it on the pedal. And I do like that Duke team as well. We got a lot of quarterbacks. I've played quite a few ball games as well. That's why I got those teams in the top.
FanDuel's teams he got in his top four in honorable mention: Miami, Georgia Tech, Clemson, SMU, and the sleeper is Duke.
Mm.
This is a conference. We talked about the Big 12 last week, and we thought that the Big 12 had 8 or 9 teams that could be jockeying for positions in those top 3 or 4 positions, man. And I think this conference sort of has a similar kind of a parity. They do have a team or two that I think that'll be up there at the top in Clemson, Miami. We know that Florida State had a down year last year, but I'm thinking Florida State is going to rebound this year. They got some new coordinators. They got a decent quarterback that knows the ACC. I'm going to make them one of my other teams, and I'm going to make Virginia Tech my third team, my fourth team. So I got Miami, Clemson, Florida State, and I'm going to go with Virginia Tech as my fourth team. And my sleeper is going to be Louisville. That's going to be my sleeper team in the ACC. So hopefully I can look like I know what I'm talking about.
And it's crazy. I know this FanDuel Zay, he said he got a Duke as a sleeper team. And I picked them last year as a sleeper team, but we got to think they actually kind of retooled over the offseason, got a few transfers, through that portal, and just another year experience in that conference. I think makes them a team to reckon with. And when you think about this Duke team, you think about basketball. In any way you hear the word Duke when you're talking sports. So I think what they're trying to do, and I mean, it's been looking good. They're putting together some good wins, some great seasons as well. If you think about it, for Duke football coming as a team that barely used to win games, they're in the hunt lately, being a sleeper team in the ACC. I definitely like that pick as well as Louisville. They could definitely be a top 4 team as well.
Tell us a little bit more about Darian in the chat there, Van Duzea, on why you high on him coming out of Tulane and what you think he's going to be able to do in this ACC.
That's the I can't remember if that's the running back or
no, that's the quarterback from Tulane who
oh,
transferred to Duke.
I think he's gonna be a difference man. I think he could do what Kevin Jennings did for SMU. Because if we think about Duke last year, just me watching Duke, if you add that tool to Duke's offense last year, they win quite a few more games and put themselves in position to be in that ACC championship. So I definitely feel like he'll definitely make a difference for that Duke team. You think about Hayes Kings and his feet. You think about Kevin Jennings, as I just said, and the way his feet move. I think when you have a quarterback in the ACC who's able to run, as needed or have that ability to move his feet, I think that makes him more dangerous. So I definitely like that for Duke. And I mean, I like what they have. I definitely like Duke and what they have. They give everybody a challenge, year in, year out. Some games might not be like others, but they definitely fight in most games in that ACC conference.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about quarterbacks in other conferences, and I think this might be another conference where we have to say they got some names anyway. I think that these guys are really good in this conference as well. How good would a quarterback play be in the ACC? Can they compare to the Big 12 quarterbacks we talked about last week?
When I say, man, that's a tough. I'm gonna go Big 12. The reason I go Big 12, and I'm an ACC guy with Florida State, is just because of that experience. They have guys that's played 25 games, if not almost every quarterback we spoke on in the Big 12. So when we spoke on that from day one, them 25 games means a lot. And you can go out there, you could see something once, whereas playing 25 games, you see it once, you know what to do. Whereas you play a couple games, you still trying to figure out everything. So I think the Big 12, I'm going to take them in a slight advantage, but I like the youth over the Big 12's youth and the ACC. ACC's youth and quarterbacks is dangerous. I will say that much.
Yeah, FanDuel says that he thinks they will have better stats, but only because he thinks that the defense in the Big 12 will be better than in the ACC. That's a pretty good analysis
I
on
like
that. I like the quarterbacks in the ACC, but I think the quarterbacks in the Big 12 are really good as well. Um, but I think every team just about in the ACC has a decent quarterback, and then you have some of those quarterbacks that are going to be really good. Um, it's going to be interesting to see, man, because you got so many quarterbacks in the Big 12 that are solid that can propel their teams into the college football playoffs. And then you got some good quarterbacks in the ACC who we say might be the lesser of the four Power Four conferences, the Big 12 and the ACC. But I think that the quarterback play, man, at any time during the season can get you some wins if you got good, solid quarterback play. And I think they got a few teams that got some really good quarterback play in the ACC. I'm going to give a nod to the Big 12, but I really do feel like the quarterbacks in the ACC are going to be playing some really, really good football. At least the way FanDuel said their defenses aren't as good as maybe in the other three conferences. So they have a chance to really put up some serious stats. But then again, you never know. Clemson's defense might be a lot better, and then Florida State's defense might be a lot better, and that can be a difference
Oh
in
yeah,
that conference.
definitely.
Miami too, because Miami's defense was porous last year too. So
Yeah.
if those three teams can correct their defensive woes, the conference can have a good showing defensively next year. Is Cade Klubnik the odds-on favorite to be first team All ACC?
Ooh.
Is there somebody that can compete with him at this quarterback position and possibly become the first team All ACC quarterback?
I know Zay gonna nag me on this. The only quarterback I think that they're gonna talk about, well, two. I say Hayes King is the quarterback that's gonna be challenging. But I think they going all out, have it right there, for K Klubnik to be that top quarterback. But I've been watching Hayes King since he's been a freshman. And this is a dangerous kid, man. So, when you talk about the ACC and you talk about the quarterbacks, just thinking of the four, even though Tommy is transferred and came back, you got Cade, Carson, Haynes, Tommy, and then the young one, after that being Jennings to start. I don't know what it is. I think Hayes King is going to challenge him, but they definitely have Cade Klubnik as the all-on favorite for first team. I feel.
Yeah, we appreciate you jumping in with us to City League TV. Man of many hats, Mr. Claiborne. Bro, you do so many things, man. You got like 400 titles.
Ask somebody.
Yeah,
We waiting on you, baby. What's going on, man? Good to see you in here as well, boss.
definitely good to see you in here representing City League TV. I think that Cade Klubnik has the best odds of becoming first team All ACC at the quarterback position. I feel like he has a good core of receivers. If they can get the running game, because they lost Moffitt, if they can get the running game together, they could really be a formidable opponent offensively, man. And I think Cade Klubnik can definitely be the one who the odds-on favorite to win the first team All ACC quarterback. FanDuel said it's between. Oh my bad. It's between Cade, Jennings, and King for him. No Carson Beck.
That's
Carson
what I
Beck
was.
can't even get a sniff.
That's what I was about to say. He ain't even want to throw Carson in there. We know that's your boy on the low. Yeah, I just think it's going to be tough for Carson Beck. I think a lot of people really going. He's coming from the SEC. You know, you come over to the ACC. It's a lot of talk. SEC, ACC. So I think he already got a target on his back. And then you come into Miami, KT. We got mad love for you, buddy. But I think they're gonna be coming for him, man. They're gonna really want to see what he could do. And I think, being in the ACC, it's a different monster. Nothing against that SEC, but they're gonna constantly come after him. I don't know if Beck's ready for the ACC, whereas in the SEC, them coaches prepare you so well. Nothing against the ACC coaches, but it's just a different preparation over in the SEC. So I definitely agree with his picks as well. I can't put Carson up there. I just can't do it myself.
FanDuel said he's trash. I my concern with him is he going to really be 100% healthy
Coming in.
after this elbow injury that he had in that SEC championship game? Is he going to be healthy enough? You're talking about December 5th, I think it was, until now. That's when he had surgery on. He had like a baseball kind of a surgery. So I don't know if he's going to be 100%. Uh, I believe it was on his it was on his throwing arm.
Yeah,
So I don't know, man. Is he going to be 100%?
it's tough.
The verdict is out on that for sure. Are the ACC defenses getting a bad rap like the Big 12 used to get?
It's crazy to me that I've been hearing a lot about it that they kind of get that type of rap. I think they are. I think they have to hold it down for the season. Respectively. I think you have to be stout in what it is you identify your defense to be. If you're going to be a shutdown secondary, you have to be that. If you're going to be a run stopping defense, if you're going to be a juggernaut, I think with the ACC now, I think you have to show that. SEC, we seeing how their teams come in Big Ten, respectively. We see how they are when it comes to playing against the run, being a juggernaut, or just having a great secondary. So I feel it's the same. It's just like the Big 12 used to be. They're getting a bad rap. I don't see nothing, I would say, wrong with it, but teams have been playing great defense at times, but I think they are getting that type of rap. They have to step up and week in, week out, no slip ups.
Yeah, I think they're getting a bad rap like the Big 12 was getting. Now the Big 12 wasn't their defenses weren't good, but they had some defenses in that conference that were solid. I think they just had those wide open offensive styles where they ran the football out of spread. They couldn't get in power formations and run. and run the football. So it made it look like they was just going all up and down the field because they were spread out so much. And a lot of times that's what they did. But if you go back to when Florida State was 14-0, they had one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah.
Clemson in the last what 7, 8 years have had some of the best defenses in college football those years that they won those national championships and was vying for championships. Outside of those two, maybe Miami might have had a good one sprinkled in there here and there, but for the most part, as a whole conference, their defenses haven't been the greatest. I think that that's something that they're going to realize that they got to do. They got to start improving their defenses. I think many of those teams have gotten some better defensive coordinators and defensive position coaches because they see that as a need in this conference that we got to play better defense in this conference. I remember watching the Miami and Duke game, and this game was both teams was in the 30s, I believe, or close to the 30s by halftime, a
Yeah.
piece, you know. And I think the game ended up, they almost end up scoring 100 points between the two teams, and I'm like, that's way, way, way too many points. So I think that they see that that's an issue in their league, in their conference, and they're going to try to fix that with some of the coordinators and position coaches that they brought in this past offseason. Can the ACC get three teams in the 12-team college football playoff in 2025?
You just said it not too long ago. Miami, Florida State, Clemson. We gotta. I think if we show that defense that just think if Miami showed the signs of the defense when they were national championship contenders, as Florida State, as Clemson, you talking about three teams that's going to get in, guaranteed. If they show that type of defense throughout the season, I feel three teams can get in from the ACC. I think it's possible. We just don't know how the ball's going to drop. The SEC and Big Ten have some combative schedules. And this first week slate we have, you got a lot of different conference matchups. So as you spoke on that, will it make or break Florida State season? I remember when you asked me, will it do that type of thing to a lot of other schools as well? Because those are big games in that first week. So I'm just looking at getting my bag of popcorn, man, and just definitely tuning into that first week. But I feel like there's very much a possibility. Anything's possible, as KG said when Boston won the championship. Shout out to Parlay Poe on that one. But I definitely think it's possible.
I definitely think it's possible, but I think it's gonna require quite a bit of help from teams in the SEC and teams in the Big Ten. I think they're seeing those two conferences as being so prominent and invincible that they're going to look at those teams in the fourth and fifth slot in those two conferences before they look at a third place ACC team. It's really going to come down to, can Clemson win their two non-conference games? And I know when you look at it, you're probably thinking, all these non-conference games, that shouldn't hurt them because it's not within their conference. If they can run the table in the conference, that might be the case. But if they don't run the table in their conference, then if they lose to LSU and to South Carolina, first game, last game, that can really change the picture for the ACC. And I'm hoping that they could get three teams in. I would prefer that they get three teams in over a daggone Big 12 team conference getting three teams in. Can they? I think they can get Clemson, Miami, and Florida State in, but they all three have to handle their business. They have to handle their business. And I think they got an opportunity to, because really, if I'm Florida State, I'm coming in this sucker with a chip on my shoulder. I went what they go 2-10
2-10.
last year. There's no way they could be without a chip on their shoulder going into this season. I think they should be playing with a lot of heart, grit, passion. Their coaches are going to coach them that way. I think they could get over the hump, man, and make it to the 12-team playoff. They got a quarterback that has a lot of experience in the ACC. I think they can do it. And they got a running game. Now, I don't know what their offensive and defensive lines are looking like, but I think that I'm almost certain they did some things in the portal to fix those things.
Oh, yeah. We went and snagged the boy out of the SEC. You'll know about him week 1.
FanDuel said, nah, the league doesn't have much respect right now. That is true. They don't have much respect right now. City League TV said, possibly 9-10 wins will possibly get that third team in if it's if it's two has okay, yeah. If two of them got 10 wins, the one with 9 or 10 wins, the third can possibly get in. I think City League TV, I think that's what it has to be as well. If they gotta have at least 9 wins with 2 teams ahead of them having 10 wins in order for them to get a third team in there. I agree with you 1,000% on that. And he's saying Clemson, Miami, Florida State should always be. You're exactly right, C-League. They should always be in the running to make the CFP. Always.
Feel you on that. Appreciate them shout outs from WTP and City League TV as well as Zay, man. I don't know, man. I had that feeling about my Seminoles this season. I just overlooking everything. This is probably the first year. You know, I've been on Dez my whole life, you know, growing up. This is the first year that I've sat down with Dez and watched a lot of Florida State. So when you're doing things that's different, you know, not the usual, you know you smell something that's cooking up. So I told Mr. Bosley, Kenny B, if you watch it, man, we definitely gonna set something up, me, you, and Dez, man, so we could get our Seminole action in, watch that game, and talk our talk, man. Come on live and tell them about it, especially after week 1.
Yeah, y'all definitely got to lock up so that way y'all can enjoy your Seminoles together. I'm quite sure y'all probably going to end up over Kenny B's house because his basement is immaculate, bro. His man cave, rather.
Yeah, I've been talking to him about it to try to set something up for them Lakers. He said, let him know. We can pull up over there, set up the live stream, and get a fan something that they haven't seen before.
For sure. Before I go to this next question, let me check the comments real quick. FanDuel, he's saying they have to have he said y'all got to have a 12-0 team, 11-1 team, and a 10-2-ish team, and it ain't happening. And he said it's not happening. Let's look at that now. Do any of us believe that they got a team that can go 12-0? 12-0.
That's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough.
12-0 is going to be tough for that ACC. You got to think you got 3-4 quarterbacks that's already at that 25 game mark, and you got 2 of them in Cade and Hayes King. They not going easy. You know what I mean? So that undefeated is going to be tough. But who you think? What you saying? Yes, City League TV.
Yeah, you got to tell me who you think gonna go.
This is a good one. Unless he say FSU, I'm with you. You already know it.
I don't see anybody going better than 10-2.
Yeah, I say 11-1 is, man, that's even hard. I like City League's first, the 210 win teams with a 9-2 team, and I'm okay with my Seminoles being a 9-2 team getting in that playoff, honestly. But
yeah, you're right. You never know.
We could right the ship right back.
The thing that I think that sort of like sort of gets in the way of teams really going undefeated in the regular season is the fact that they all realize it's a long season, man.
Yeah.
It's a long season. The national championship last year, the Ohio State Buckeyes played 16 games. Just think if they would have had to play in their in their conference championship game, it probably still would have came out to 16 games because they probably would have got a bye. But had they lost that game, it would have 17 games. That's a long season, man.
Yeah,
and that would be tough, man, to go undefeated. When we seen Oregon do it last year.
Yeah.
We seen them do it last year. And then they ran into that buzzsaw called Ohio State. And so it can happen, but man, it's tough. It's tough to go undefeated. I think going forward, it's going to be tough to go undefeated. But as he said, you never know. It can happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
FanDuel said Miami has the best chance, most reasonable schedule to pull it off, but it ain't happening. Yeah,
they got Virginia Tech. I don't trust them if they got Virginia Tech again this year.
Yeah, but Virginia Tech is a team that they could possibly beat. They're not like a juggernaut that you know for a fact, oh, it's going to be a dogfight.
Right.
It's going to be a competitive game for a moment, but is it going to be a competitive game all the way through? It would be my concern. But Miami, I think, out of all of the top teams in the ACC, because of their schedule, has probably the best chance of going undefeated.
Well, he giving props to Carson Beck on that one. Hit the with the balls.
No pun. No pun intended.
Yeah, you gotta have a lot of, next man up. We spoke a lot about that with OSU last year, knowing how deep they were as far as, they have multiple offensive linemen, defensive linemen. As we've seen, almost a whole offensive line went to the NFL. So, you have to have multiple players ready to play at every position. So I think that definitely helped them, perform the way they did last year. And having players that play different times in games. If you up by a couple touchdowns late, them couple minutes, them little possessions, them couple downs matter. And I think that was something that we was able to see, if you think about Ohio State from beginning to the end of the season last year. I mean, we didn't think they was going to fare out, especially after that Oregon game. And then, I was watching some stuff and thinking about it like, man, if I beat Florida, it made sense. If I beat Florida the last game of the season, and then they went off and ran through like Ohio State just did, it makes sense. I would be happy about that rivalry win, but that would have me sick and ready to get after it for the next season. So, I mean, a lot of it do make sense now, after overlooking the season and coming up to this point. Like, it is an honest opinion and seeing how it is now.
Yeah. FanDuel saying, no, I said that it ain't happening. Yeah. I think we understood that you meant it ain't happening. One thing I will say, and I'm gonna say this last thing about them bum ass Buckeyes. They had several hiccups during the season, right? But they knew we got so much talent on this team, man, that we just got to put it together, and ain't nobody going to be able to stop us. Now, I'm saying that because if Texas has some hiccups, I hope they had the same kind of mindset. We got talent on this team. We can win this mug, man. And they had that mentality like the Buckeyes had this past season and pull off a national championship run, man. Because the Buckeyes showed that, listen, if you got talent and you put it together, no matter what hiccups you had in that regular season, you get in that CFP, you got to go to work. And if you go to work, you can win that mug, man. And they showed that you can do that this past year. Feduzea, that's like the fourth good thing you done heard me say about your Buckeyes, man. Put it in the chat for me. Put it in the chat.
Clip it.
What will happen first? The ACC will lose some teams or add some teams?
I think they losing teams. I think Clemson, Florida State, I think they ready. I think they ready to make that move. Um, I just think it'll be teams gone before teams coming in. If not, possibly at the same time. Who knows?
Yeah, you're exactly right, C League TV. It is not easy. It is not easy. If I'm the ACC Conference Commissioner, I'm on the phone every day with athletic directors, presidents of universities. I'm on the phone with them every day saying, listen, what would you like to see me do to keep from losing you and any other team in this conference? I will try to find out what these teams want to see happen. If they want to see us go after some other teams out in some other spots in the country, so that we don't fold. Because if they don't, he better know this. There's already other conferences that want to pluck Clemson, that want to pluck Florida State, that want to pluck Miami. They might not care so much about the rest of those guys, but those three teams, they better know that there are conferences out there that are just waiting to get those teams away from that conference, especially once 2030 hit and it's not such a huge buyout to get up out of that conference, man. They better be smart enough to understand that. If they don't, then they're going to find themselves losing their bread and butter, which is those three teams I just named, and possibly a few others. But they better get it together, man. They better figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say they will lose some teams before they gain any. What's your ceiling and your floor for your Florida State Seminoles this season? What do you think is their ceiling? How many games could they possibly win this season? And what's the lowest amount of games that they will win or can win?
I think previously, I want to say I went with 9. We just got Zach Arnett. And remember, we can hire as many coaches as possible. Former head coach in the SEC. He's an analyst at Florida State. How did we pull that off yesterday? I don't know. I'll take it coming from the SEC. So I'm going to go with 10 is the ceiling. I just went up a game. I went up a game since he coming from the SEC. If he was coming from the Big Ten, I might go to the undefeated. And that's for Zay and City League TV. But I'm going to go 10. I'm going to say the ceiling is 10. And like you said, I think being Florida State, you don't just come into the year without no chip on your shoulder. 14-0, 2-10. This is the year you settle in and get back them wins. So for me, I'm gonna go 10. 10 is the ceiling for me, and I know I got high hopes on them this year. And then I'm gonna go not making a bowl as the lowest. If we don't make a bowl, I'm putting Florida State on probation next year. I won't watch a Florida State game until we get over 6 wins. If we do not make a bowl game this year.
It was all love, FanDuel. It was all love. I ain't saying nothing disrespectful, my brother. I ain't saying nothing disrespectful. It's my ceiling for them. It's right around 9, 10 games. I can definitely see them winning 9, possibly even getting to 10. And I think their floor is 6 games. They'll make a bowl.
Yeah.
But before we Isaiah saying 8-4. But 4-8 sounds
reachable too.
re- wow. You think they can go 4-8 after a 2-10? Wow, that'll be tough. That'll be tough.
That'd be tough. I mean, that'd be on probation with me.
What do you think about this statement from City League TV? He said only Notre Dame can save the ACC.
If Notre Dame was to go to the ACC, if they just said before the year over they come into the ACC the following year, that'd be something monumental. You talking about matchups that's never been seen. You talking about a conference that'll legitly be right back up to the power. You know, that'd be the third best conference, I feel, right behind the Big Ten and SEC, just my opinion. They would add so much flavor to that conference. Notre Dame and Florida State would be back up in a matchup. You got Notre Dame, Miami, Notre Dame, Clemson, you know, the possibilities of so many matchups. But I don't think Notre Dame is going to budge. It would be great to see them, you know, make a move. But in all, I think if anything, they go to the Big Ten before any other conference. That's just my choice.
Just hypothetically speaking, if say Notre Dame had a choice to join the Big Ten or the ACC, would Notre Dame get better matchups in the Big Ten or would they get better matchups in the ACC?
That's a good question. I don't know. I like that because you got to think Notre Dame, USC, then you got Ohio State because Notre Dame, then you got that Oregon team, of course. Then you got Texas. I mean, you got so many possible matchups that can happen. I think with them being in the Big Ten, they would make more matchups with that SEC. And with them being in the ACC, I think that prevents them from making those bigger, you know, matchups. We might see some matchups that we haven't seen, but I think the matchups would be better in that Big Ten. You got Michigan out there. And like I said, the Big Ten Conference, they look for those year-by-year matchups. As we've seen in this Texas, Ohio State, you would get something in a Notre Dame and Michigan type of matchup that would be big. Possible Notre Dame, Ohio State. You never know. Indiana, Notre Dame, you know, Battle of South Bend.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's the Big Ten as well. They probably got more teams that could be up at the top than the ACC does. I mean, you got the Miami Notre Dame would be a good matchup. Notre Dame Clemson would be a good matchup. Notre Dame Florida State would be a good matchup, but then that would probably be it. But
Right.
then you got Michigan, Ohio State, USC, Oregon, Penn State. I'm missing somebody.
Indiana.
USC.
Yeah.
So they got about 5 or 6 teams in that Big Ten that could possibly be great matchups with Notre Dame if they were to join the Big Ten. So I would agree with that. It's the Big Ten. As City League TV said, easy. ACC is easier. Yeah, sure. FanDuel, you can't throw Indiana in there, man. Come on, man. Stop it. They normally Northwestern and Purdue, bro. They had one bright season. They normally Northwestern and Purdue.
Notre Dame, UCLA.
Maybe once upon a time, UCLA. Maybe once upon a time. Now that NIL was hit. Well, now they're about to get this money though, so they might be able to get back up in there. I know that their coach Foster. I know he loving that because he's like, oh man, I'm gonna get $20.8 million to work with when I didn't have no NIL. He's probably happy about that.
Man.
He said that's a Big Ten opponent. That's a little bro. If they can pull an upset, they can still recruit. It's Indiana, bro. Stop it. You see where they had to go get their players? They had to go plug a group of 16. They just happen to be some veteran dogs.
That's it.
But I hear what you're saying, though, Zay. I hear what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, because and it is Notre Dame. They did lose the Northern Illinois post game. I hope you got that one. Hope you tuned in.
Does Miami have enough around Carson Beck? Do you see him playing well enough for Miami to win 10 games?
No, no. Miami might be the team to win 9 games. We be the team to win 10 games. It's tough. I think Georgia Tech, you got Clemson, you got Florida State. If I'm not mistaken, those are 3 teams they play this year. So on that schedule, that's going to be tough games. I know a lot of teams is coming in with a chip on their shoulder in various ways. Especially, I know Miami is, but it's a lot of teams that feel that Miami shouldn't have been in the position they was in. Clemson, of course, being one of them. So Clemson want to come back and show what they actually could do. They want to try to stretch out a little more, I think. And then Dabo has been in the portal for the first time in his tenure at Clemson. So he didn't have nothing in the portal, made the playoff. Is he feeling something different and getting these players out the portal, bringing them over to Clemson and making something even better? So that's just going to be a sight to see, but I definitely don't think they can get 10 wins this year. I like the Miami team, don't get me wrong, having Beck, 25-plus experience. And then you got to think about that defense. How improved is their defense from last year on the secondary? Will that secondary be much better than they were last year? So it's just something to see. Definitely for me, Carson Beck is not Cam Ward. That's one thing for sure.
I think they have enough weapons around him to be really, really good in the ACC. But if the line was 9.5 over and under, if that was the over and under was 9.5, I would bet the under.
Okay.
I would bet the under. I wouldn't bet that they would get the over on that and to get the 10 wins. But I'm not a betting man, so that ain't gonna be the case. But I don't think that they will win 10 games. Like I said, man, I still don't know what his arm is gonna be like. I don't know what his arm is gonna be like. I hope he comes back and he's 100% healthy and he's slinging that thing like he did his sophomore year. But if he played anything like he played in the SEC Conference in his last year, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, it's not going to be so good. Now, outside of the conference, he played pretty well. But inside the conference, he didn't do so well.
Yeah.
FanDuel was saying the receiver core will be even better than last season. They just need a more solid back than last season. We will see, though. I thought they had a pretty decent running back last year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that guy was decent.
It's just like you said, that arm, knowing it's the one that he throws on. How, and like Parlay Post said, you got to spin that thing. And he's going to have to spin that thing in Miami. Like FanDuel Zay said, they got weapons, so he's going to have to throw it. I just don't think it's enough to get them 10 wins, even with what he has surrounding him.
Oh, my bad. He said solid back. My fault. Solid back. Yeah. My bad there, FanDuel. I read that wrong. A solid back.
Yeah, they back. He should be back. I think they got a double. His team is just stacking up with the running backs, too. One young, one a little older, but they definitely can make a run for it.
I mean, and he's going to a conference that has not seen him. So,
Man.
I mean, the SEC had a chance to see him for a year, so they were able to maybe prepare for him a little bit better. Then his receivers was butt last year at Georgia, so we'll have to wait and see how he fares out. But I would say 9 wins would be. I wouldn't bet the 10 wins. That's for sure.
I'm looking to see how they do against Georgia Tech, knowing that they played against him last year in that 8 overtime game. I want to see what Georgia Tech do against them defensively, if they draw anything up to try to pressure him too.
Yeah, for sure. Is it Clemson's conference to lose?
Man, that's a ooh. I'm I might. I don't know if I'm throwing this out there on a limb or if I'm giving love to KT because that question you asked just before this leads into it. It might be Miami's conference to lose. I mean, like I think that's a great question. I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna just say yeah because you know me and KT be going back and forth. I'm gonna say yeah. It's Clemson's to lose. They were to respectively won the championship last year. Came back in the tumultuous back nine like Tiger did to get that Masters years ago. So I definitely feel, you got to respectfully say it until you dethrone them. You're the team to beat.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with City League TV as well. It's Clemson's, and I agree with you as well. It's Clemson's conference to lose, man. They have to be the best team in the conference in terms of the players that they have that have already played enough football that we know that they should be really solid. Now,
Yeah,
there's some other teams out there that got some good teams on paper, but we haven't seen them enough to know if they're going to be able to compete like this Clemson team will be able to. The thing that concerns me about Clemson is this: those first game and that last game. Will Now they rebounded really well because Georgia thumped them last year, the first game of the season,
they
and they
did.
rebounded really well. If LSU can get them some trouble in that first game, and then South Carolina give them some trouble in that last game, and they mess around and trip up during the season and lose one of their conference games, we could be talking about something different for this Clemson team. But I will say yes, it is their conference to lose.
Yeah, and then just thinking about that game, I think that's going to be a game that everybody's tuned into. Praying for that whole organization over at LSU, what they dealt with in the offseason. So I know they're going to be having a lot going through their head. They're going to be coming out with a different momentum of what as well. And then I've been hearing a lot of people kind of knocking Noose. You can't knock Noose. That's a 25 game QB. His pent this time in the SEC and has done great things. So I think that game definitely is going to be one that I'm tuned into because of what we sit here talking about now and the fact of, two top quarterbacks respectively in their leagues. And this could be something to look at the end of the season.
For sure, for sure. This is the last question I had in the chat. What team has the best chance to play spoiler towards the end of the season? Much like Syracuse did when they knocked off Miami to knock Miami out of that conference championship game. Who do you think is a team out there that can knock off some big teams down the stretch to keep them from making to the conference championship or even making it to the college football playoff?
I don't know why when I looked at this question, the first thing when I seen it in the chat was Georgia Tech. That's just the team I feel. Nobody's really talking a lot about Georgia Tech. They have a quarterback who's broken records. He's coming into the season as probably one of the most awarded QBs in ACC history in Hayes King and what he do, and he does it well. They're going to go against a Miami team who they played their quarterback in 8 overtimes last year. So they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder as well, feeling some people forgot about who they are, and they played a great season last year. So I think Georgia Tech is that team that I think that can try to knock some people out of contention.
You went with Georgia Tech. I'm gonna go with Virginia Tech.
Ooh,
So let's say Virginia Tech. Well, let's say Miami is on a roll and they're rolling and they might have one loss. And then the game before the last game of the season, they got to travel to Blacksburg to play Virginia Tech.
tough.
A Virginia Tech who the week before has to travel to Tallahassee. What if Florida State beat them in Tallahassee and Miami has one loss. Don't you think that Virginia Tech team is going to get up for knocking off Miami to be the spoiler? I think that would be perfect, man, to see that happen. They don't play Clemson this year. They do get South Carolina first game of the season, but I think they're in a perfect position to possibly play spoiler if they can knock off Florida State in Tallahassee or either Miami in Blacksburg. They got those two teams the last three games of the season. They could possibly be that team.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's happened before, where we pop Tech, and like it's like Virginia at the time, and then the opposite. Like it's crazy. Something like that happened. Like you just said, the team being on the road. I mean, being on the road the week before being at home. I think it was that Virginia Tech team. Might have been Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we remember that Virginia Tech team popping them Ohio State Buckeyes in the shoe.
Yeah, boy.
Just to put a little bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah,
all right, bro. Well, that's all I had on the ACC conference. Is there anything else you want to add about them? Yeah, I know I need to relax, but I'm gonna be riding on you all day long, all day. We got 79 days until Texas, Ohio State. 79 days. You know how fast that's gonna go?
That's gonna go real fast.
That's gonna go.
Man, not much to say. Just I would say look out for this conference. I think this is gonna be a conference, as we talked about the Big 12, that is just gonna be week by week seeing the progress. It's gonna be one team that may stand out. It may be a couple teams that stand out, but I definitely have my eye on Darian over at the Tulane transfer. Definitely have my eye on him at Duke, and I appreciate you with that one, FanDuel. And I don't know. I know I'm big on my FSU Seminoles. I know TC's back and Doak Campbell. Keep your eye out for Sperry, first name Kevin, freshman phenom over at FSU. Don't be surprised if you see him getting play on that field, similar ways that they did with Arch Manning in Texas last year. I'm not saying he's Arch, but if they get him out there on that field just to get him some snaps in different times of the season and games, just look out and don't be surprised in what you see, because he's a true baller, and I can't wait till he get his time.
Yeah, C League TV. I don't think they got no national titles, brother. I knew that. I knew. Hey, but listen, that's a great comeback. How many national titles they got? Good comeback. Well, that's all I have for tonight, too, bro. I'm glad you could join me to talk this ACC Conference football. Thanks for joining.
Always.
Thank you, City League TV. Thanks, FanDuel Zaya. And it was somebody else in the chat, too. I'm not sure who it was. They didn't chime in, but thank you as well. Hit the like button, subscribe. We are very, very close to our 3,000 watch hours, on our way to 4,000 watch hours. We are ready for YouTube to start showing us some of that monetary love. Continue to support us, share our videos, play our videos all the way through so that we can get views and watch hours. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. But we out for the night. Peace.